In this video, I'm gonna give you a 5-step checklist before you launch your creative business. Whether you're a videographer, photographer, graphic designer, there are 5 steps you need to make sure you're taking to ensure that you can take your hobby to your full-time source of income. And if you stick around till the very end, I'm gonna have one more thing to make sure you're set up to succeed. What's up? My name's Tagliaferro, but you can just call me Tag. And if you're new to the channel, I make content all about content creation and entrepreneurship. If that sounds like something you want to listen to on a weekly basis, make sure you subscribe and like the video so YouTube starts showing you my videos more often. But before we get into the checklist, you have to ask yourself one question. Are you a solopreneur or an entrepreneur? Do you see yourself being the type of person that's managing a group of creatives or managing a team of people? Or do you just kind of want to do your own thing and work by yourself? There is no wrong answer to this. I think all of us are unique and all of us know exactly who we are. But in order to succeed, this is a question you need to ask and answer before you start any business. Because if you do tend to just want to be by yourself and work by yourself and be solo, which is totally cool, you have to make sure you make that distinction before you try building a team and then realize you hate it. Or vice versa, maybe you love, you're a social person, and then you take the solopreneur route and you feel lonely and isolated. I think this is one of the most important questions when deciding what kind of business you want to launch. So now that you've figured that out, let's go into the checklist with that in mind. So checklist item number 1 is decide what service you're trying to offer. What are you actually trying to give people? What is your value proposition? You need to know exactly what you're giving to people. Having such a focused offer and a focused product or a focused service is going to be the game-changing difference between the creative that succeeds and the creative that fails. I've actually made this mistake plenty of times. I didn't really have a focused service. You know, if you don't know anything about me, I'm a photographer, videographer, and graphic designer. And so I would find myself doing random jobs, not really scaling one vertical or becoming the best videographer in my city or the best photographer in my city or the best designer in my city. And I just became an unfocused blob of a human. And there's nothing wrong with being a jack of all trades, but when you're building a business, it's super important that you have a front runner when it comes to services. Right now, I have a creative agency. Since I do so many different things, it made sense for me to have like a studio or a shop that does everything at once. That is my value proposition. I come to businesses and I'm like, you don't have to hire 4 different freelancers. You can hire one business to do everything for you. That is my value proposition. When I say focus, it doesn't necessarily mean pick one, but you have to be able to verbalize that clearly. Okay, if you are just a photographer that focuses on lifestyle shoots for influencers, that's your thing, and like double down and do that. But you can't double down on something you haven't thought of already, so make sure that you figure that out before. Number 2 is to ensure that you can actually provide the service that you are offering. There is nothing worse than the creative that, sells you all of these things, and then you get into the post-production side or you get into the production side of things, and then you just can't do what you were selling. You want to make sure that you're actually capable of doing the thing you want to do, or at least you're capable of learning the thing that you want to do quickly or during a project. I've heard of people who literally sell you this grand vision and this grand idea for a video, and then they go and do it and it's not as good as they thought. And I want to make sure that you don't dive into that. Make sure that whatever you're selling, whatever you're doing, you're actually capable of. And this isn't just regarding skill and creating the thing, but if you are pitching somebody a full team effort and then they see that it's just you working, if you're pitching this big vision of partnering with a huge team and then it's just 2 of you guys, that's, again, something that you're not really living up to. And vice versa, a lot of agencies do this. A lot of creative agencies do this, where they say you're gonna have a tailor-made experience where we work directly with you and you speak directly to me, the owner of the business. And then they get into business with them. They sign a year contract and they're talking to an account manager who doesn't really care about them, and then they don't really have that experience that was offered. So make sure that whatever you're offering, you are actually capable of following through on. I know it's very tempting to sell something a little bit further than what you can do, and I promise that overselling your thing and making it sound so much better up front is only going to hurt you in the back end. They're going to be called a liar, scammer, all of these things that you don't want in your business. Item number 3 is pick an industry that you want to target. Now, I think this is a super important part of starting any business, but especially in the creative side, people want to work with people who specialize specialize in their industry. The truth is that a wedding couple, if they're searching for the best wedding videographers, they're not going to find you if you're a general videographer who does commercial projects and all of these things. No, they're going to look up wedding videographers in my area. And if that's just like a little subsect of what you do, you're not going to get many people interested in doing what you're doing. Contrary to popular belief, being able to do everything isn't always the best, especially in this online environment that we live in. People aren't searching the best general videographer in my business. No, the restaurant owner is searching the best sushi cinematographer in Miami or the best sports photographer in my area. So my suggestion is, as you're starting your freelance business in photography, videography, whatever, try your best to niche down upon it, because you're gonna quickly become an expert in the space, and then you're gonna realize that you're gonna be the go-to person in your city. You gotta pick a vertical, man. Like me, I started and I was doing event videography. I did a bunch of event capturing. That was my thing. People would book me in Dallas, Texas to do their events. And that's how I became prominent in that area. And then I realized I don't wanna do this forever. And I pivoted and I shifted. Now I do a little bit of everything, but that's after, kind of establishing a network and cementing a type of workflow. I did not start that way. If you start that way, you won't make a lot of money. Also, a disclaimer, the industry or the type of content that you make doesn't have to be like only like sushi videos or something like that. It can be a type of content. You don't have to be a very specific like baseball videographer. You can be a general sports videographer. But the thing that's gonna make you stand out is if you have a specific style within the sports industry, meaning if you are a commercial videographer and you make commercial videos for baseball teams in Florida, that's something you can sell. Or maybe you create hype reels for influencers in the baseball space. Finding that kind of niche for you is gonna be something that's gonna help benefit you in the long term if you figured that out up front. Number 4, you're gonna wanna create 5 pieces of spec work. Now, what is spec work? Spec work is when you decide to go shoot a video for free, meaning it's not a project that somebody bought in and has say over. It's something you have complete creative control. It's because you want to have control over the things that are on your website, the things that are on your Instagram, the things that are on whatever you use to promote your services. So I think the best way to do that is by giving a business or giving whoever is in your specific niche something free. Nobody's going to tell you what to do if it's a free project. And if they are, you probably shouldn't be doing it for them. But making at least 5 pieces of spec work where you really give your all and you really like focus on the style of the content that you're making, and having that to show is going to be invaluable for the person trying to qualify you as their partner creatively. This all depends around the service you're providing. If animation is something you want to do, you can create an animation for Sony and put it on your website. You know what I'm saying? And be like, look, this is the thing I made for Sony. You can have that on your portfolio and people can be like, wow, that's a sick animation. The main message is have a portfolio to sell before you start selling. You need to have something to show so people actually pay you for what you're doing, because that's what we're trying to do, right? If not, we would just create passion projects forever. We're trying to build a business out of our hobby. That's probably the best tip I can give you in terms of setting up your website or setting up your portfolio, is actually have a portfolio, and you can do that by making spec projects. And number 5, you want to actually create a website for that spec work to live on. I love Instagram, I love Facebook, I love YouTube, I love all of these things, but having a curated, branded space where people can come to and see your work and contact you directly is probably the most important thing you can do. Now, that doesn't mean don't build a presence on social media, but there needs to be a call to action to your website. People need to be able to see more about who you are or more work. But the most important thing, people need to be able to contact you directly the way you want to be contacted. And also, it adds legitimacy to your brand if you have a website and you're not just an Instagram videographer or an Instagram photographer. No, you're more than that, okay? This is deeper, this is bigger than just a hobby. This is a business. And one of the ways you show that before you even launch it is by building a portfolio website. And actually, if you use Adobe, this is not an ad, it's not sponsored, but I use this for you. If you have a subscription with Adobe, you can build a website on something called Adobe Portfolio. I think this is a super sick spot for you to be able to do it for free. And it's super easy. If you're a photographer, I think you can actually link your Lightroom catalog. So you can curate your photos within Lightroom and it automatically syncs with your website. So you don't have to be updating a website all the time. So Adobe Portfolio is a super sick thing that I use forever. Now I use Squarespace. Squarespace, again, not a sponsor, not an ad. I wish it was, but it's not. If you go to trinitytagcc.com, you can see my website. And I love Squarespace because there's so many different things you can do on that website. But more importantly, it just looks really clean and it allows you to customize it really well. So if you're starting with some money and you want to invest in how you look and how you present yourself as a brand, go ahead and go with Squarespace. But if you want something really solid that looks really good, it's customizable and it's easy and it's free, go with Adobe Portfolio. Seriously, that saved me for a lot of time, and it was so good that I actually didn't even want to build my Squarespace site till like 3 years ago. So make sure you go ahead and build a website. Now, those are going to be the 5 things that you need to do before starting your business that's going to set you up for success. But I did promise one extra tip. So when you're actually pitching to businesses, when you've done the checklist, when you're trying to work with somebody or you're in negotiations, something that helps close deals more often is if you're giving some sort of value for free, even if that's just a perceived piece of free value, right? Something that I used to do and I still do sometimes is I would sell my videos in packages. I'd call it the value video package. I would sell them a full horizontal traditional video film or whatever, and I'd add 2 reels to them free of charge as part of the package if they close with me. The super easy way, I could just grab the footage, put different music, change the format to vertical for their TikTok or their reels, and then I was giving them more value. I was giving them 2 more deliverables to post, 2 more different edits, 2 cuts free of charge without having to go and produce more things. And that really helped me. That really helped me close deals. I think whenever I would offer that, they would always take it. They would never say no to more deliverables, more things to post. Whatever you're doing, whatever you're offering, adding some sort of enticing free thing to what you're trying to create for them is gonna get them from, oh, I'm interested, to, oh, I'm buying. You know, Alex Hormozy has a really cool book called $100 Million Offers. And something he says in that book is your offer, whatever you're selling in business anywhere, has to be such a good deal that they feel dumb not to take it. Your goal is to make people feel stupid for going with somebody else. And it sounds a little harsh, but it's when you do that, when you achieve that, when you do make people feel dumb for even recognizing the idea that there might be somebody better than you, you've won, and you're gonna get a lot more closed deals. So having some sort of free value proposition into whatever you're trying to create for them at the paid level is a huge little tip and a huge trick that's definitely helped me, and I think will definitely serve you. But if you enjoyed this video, you got some value out of it, and you feel like you're leaving this video with something to do that you can actually sink your teeth into and progress, then go ahead and hit the subscribe button, like, and drop a comment. Like, what did you appreciate about it? Or do you have an idea for another video that I should make? Let me know in the comments right now. And if you want to know how I turned a $500 camera that I bought off Facebook Marketplace into $40,000 in a short period of time, then go ahead and click on this video on my face right now, where I tell you guys the story of how I did it and how you can do it too. But no matter where you are in your creative journey, just remember to stay grateful. And I'll see you over there. Peace.